Hi everyone, Inat Kessler here with a new video tutorial, and today I'm going to show you or teach you an art journal page tutorial for beginners. We are going to explore the 3 steps or the 3 elements you need to make an art journal page. And the 3 elements are the background, the focal point, and the details that you need to add at the end to tie everything together. So let's get started with the background. You can create the background basically in any way that you want. You can use sprays, you can use acrylic paints, you can use stencils, you can use paper, you can use tissue paper, you can use crayons, you can use whatever you want to add color to your background. I'm using watercolors today. We're going to explore watercolors in different tutorials, but today I want to show you how to make a really easy background. We're going to explore these layers, these tiers, these steps with very easy materials and techniques. So I'm just going to add 2 different watercolors to my background. Just 2. I want to make this page very easy, not complicated, so you can follow the 3 steps to make the art journal page. So I'm using yellow, and I'm using sort of an aqua color, and I'm blending them on the paper. I'm using a wet brush, and I'm controlling the shade of the color by adding more or less water. So I'm working on a dry paper. Sometimes you see watercolor techniques when you work on wet paper. We're going to work on dry paper with a wet brush, and simply add the aqua color and the yellow color on the page just by some brush strokes, blending the colors as we go. And if you feel like there is a spot that is too dark, you simply add more water and then it becomes brighter. One thing to remember though is that when watercolor dries, they become lighter. So just remember that and don't make it too light, otherwise when it dries, it can be lighter than you originally wanted. So I'm just adding more and more watercolors, just those 2. And you see that while I'm blending them on the paper, we get new colors, because when I blend the green, or it's an aqua, it's a type of blue, with the yellow, I get green, get shades of green. So basically you can see how we have a 3rd color just by adding those 2. And of course, if you don't like this color combination, you can change it and use whatever colors that you want. And again, it doesn't have to be watercolors. You can use whatever you have, whatever you want to, the preferred technique or material you have to add color to the background. So let's keep on adding more color. And again, you can spray. That will make this process much faster, or take a brush and paint the page with acrylic paints, or even cut pieces of paper like we did in the collage page and add them to the background. And of course, you can combine techniques to make a background. You can color with acrylic paints and also add some tissue paper pieces or some other pattern paper pieces, or you can create pattern in the background with some stencils and acrylic paints. You can cover the paper with distress inks, also an idea. So like I said, the first step to making an art journal page is creating the background. The background can be as minimal or as busy as you want it to be, and it's all a matter of taste, of style, of your art, of your preference. You can try to make 2 kinds of pages. One page is busier than the other. just experiment and try. So you'll learn the steps that you need to make the art journal page. So basically, I want to see how it all looks when it's dry. So you can just let it dry in the air, but I have a heat tool that I'm going to use to make the page dry and make all the art, all the watercolors dry, and then see if it's dark enough for me, if the colors are visible enough for me, and if not, I can always go back and add more colors. And you'll be able to see once it's dry that the colors are slightly lighter, like I said before. But it's fine for me. Next step of making an art journal page is adding the focal point. This is the middle layer of that triangle that I asked you to imagine, and that focal point can basically be anything, but it has to be something that is large enough, bold enough, with enough visual weight. Remember, we discussed that in previous page, what is visual weight. It has to be with enough visual weight to be a focal point and to draw your eye to it. So that's supposed to catch the attention. That's supposed to be the center of the page. Everything is going around that thing or that element, and that is the main idea of your page. So I'm using tissue paper with a face on it. I'm going to attach it to my page. So some more ideas for focal points can be a cutout shape from a magazine, a large stamped image, a drawing, a large image that you stencil. It can be a shape. It doesn't have to be like a silhouette of a person. It can be a butterfly, it can be a circle, it can be a flower, a tree, a house, anything that you want to say. Basically, an art journal page needs to say something. So the focal point needs to match what you want to say. So if you want to talk about spring, you might want to add flowers. And if you want to talk about how you're feeling blue or down, then you might want to draw clouds with rain, etc., etc. We also talked about how to translate a quote to an image, and that can also help with this step, because you have to know what you want to say in order to match the right focal point. So I'm using Mod Podge. You can use gel medium to glue the tissue paper to my page. This makes it absorbs, the tissue paper absorbs the glue, and then it looks like it's hand drawn on the page. It doesn't look like the tissue paper was attached to the page. So I like using tissue paper because it looks like it's embedded in the page itself. So this is going to be my focal point. And the second step of making an art journal page, remember the first step was making the background. Now we're adding a focal point and supporting elements. Supporting elements are basically if you need to add more colors or patterns to the background, for example. If you want to boost the focal point, maybe add more color to that. Maybe needs to add more elements to the focal point because it's not bold enough or not doesn't draw the eye like you wanted. It can also be the text, the writing, but I like to leave the writing to the final step. So in the second step, I like to concentrate on adding my focal point. So I'm just drying everything, because you can't add anything on a wet Mod Podge. Everything needs to be completely dry for that. And my supporting elements for this focal point is adding a little bit of color to the face and the hair of this image. So I'm using the exact same colors as I use in the background because I don't want to add more colors. I want this page to be only with these two colors. But what I can't play with is the boldness and the darkness of the same colors that I used in the background. So I'm still adding the yellow and the aqua, but I'm adding them in a much darker layer, creating some shadows on the face and the hairline, under the eyebrows, and next to the nose, under the mouth, all the places that you need to add shadows on a face. And by the way, we are going to explore making a face in art journaling in future tutorials. So I'm just adding the same colors but in a bolder and darker hues and shades under the neck, under the chin. So this is making my focal point looking better, more eye-catching, and just more a part of the face basically, and a part of the page. Because the colors match, it all looks like one piece of art. You need to match the colors when you create art. So I'm just adding some final touches to my face. And then I'll be able to add the last layer. The final layer, the last layer, is the final touches, which are the writing, adding the text, and all the marks and details that basically tie everything together and add some interest and message to the page. So this is where, except writing, this is where stamping will come in, mark making, maybe stenciling a little bit, doodling, drawing, all those things, splattering, all those things are part of the last step of making an art journal page. So I'm drying everything because again, you can't do anything on wet paint. And now I can go ahead and add all those final touches, all those details to my page. Just want to finish everything until I'm happy. With all the shadowing. And then we'll be able to move on to the final step. So we had the first step of making the background, the second step of adding a focal point, and now the third step, the top of the triangle, the last layer, is adding the details, the writing, and all the final touches to the page. Let's dry it a little bit more. And I like to add details, at least to this type of page, which is kind of a minimalist page, with a black pen. So I'm just writing with a regular black pen, and I'm going to add the text because the text is kind of a large element on this page, so I want to build the final touches around it. But first, I want to add some more interest to the background. So did you know that you can stamp with watercolors? It doesn't come out as crisp and as sharp, but I like the look of it. So I just take some watercolors and I paint the stamp without any acrylic block. I just use my hands to press the stamp slightly on the page, and then I get that image. So this is a circle stamp. You see the circles, they're not complete, they're not nearly as crisp and sharp and complete as if I would to use ink, but I really like how this looks, and it goes well with the watercolor theme that I have on this page. And it makes the background a little bit more interesting, gives it a little bit of movement. Just those little circles. I love circles, by the way. I want to add maybe a little bit more. I press very gently. Okay. So now when it's dry, I can go ahead and add all the text and the doodling and the marks that I want with my black pen. So once that's dry, of course, if you don't have a heat tool, you need to wait until it's dry. If you live in a hot country, that can take a few minutes. If not, maybe an hour. But please make sure everything is completely dry, otherwise your pen will be completely destroyed. I can't believe how many pens I single-handedly destroyed because I was impatient. So I'm going to add my writing facing basically horizontally while the page is turned in 90 degrees. So when you will look on the page, the handwriting will be on the side. Because nobody said that handwriting should be horizontally like you normally would. This is art, and in art everything goes. So you can add your text any way that you want. In waves, upside down, from right to left, from left to right, vertically, horizontally, any way that you want. Different fonts, different boldness, different colors, different anything. So I just added a quote, and again, you find the quote that you want. Any text is relevant for you. It can just be thoughts, it can be a quote, it can be a line from a book, it can be lyrics of a song, it can be a verse from the Bible, it can be whatever you want. It can just be one word, it can be a title, whatever you want. So this is the text, and this is how it looks. And now I want to add my final touches to the page. I'm just going to add some scribbles with my pen. And then I think I'm also going to add some circles. Like I said, I really love circles. So the circles with the pen will complement the circles in the background that I made with the stamp. So I'm just going to add different size circles in a cluster. And this is going to be, like I said, a very minimal page because I wanted to concentrate on showing you the 3 different steps to making an art journal page and how they all combine together to one page. So first we had the background, then we had the focal point, and finally we had the text and the details. And you can see how it all comes together now. So I've added a few more details to the page, and this extra video is available for channel members, so you can go ahead, click the join button and become a member and support me in the free videos that I offer everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the little bell icon to be notified when I upload a new video. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you next time.